Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to dive right into the video for today, starting with some TikTok clips.
There are some women who are truly at their happiest when they are pregnant, and it's not necessarily just because, oh, I'm pregnant, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what my body is designed for. Like, there's reasons for this. So looking at Michelle Duggar specifically, she has been pregnant for about, I think it was like 13 years of her adult life. Pregnancy changes so much about the chemistry of your body, and it produces so many different hormones. She has been pregnant for so much of her adult life that it's not an unfair assumption, and I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on this, but it's not completely out there to think that maybe her body has gotten so used to those pregnancy hormones that for her, that's considered her body's normal. Almost, in a way, creating some form of like a dependency on that specific chemical structure in her body. So I don't want to say like addicted to pregnancy, but like that's what her body views as normal.
Maisley family's oldest kid's reaction to their mom's pregnancy reminded me so much of Carissa Collins' oldest kids' reactions to their mom's pregnancy. This was the reaction from the eldest kids in the Maisley family.
What's wrong, Maya?
Are you serious?
Lima. What? How many kids do I have?
Yes, 8.
You didn't one on the way, so I have 9.
1, 2.
How many kids do you have?
Okay. Again.
And this was the eldest reaction to Carissa telling her eldest kids that she's once again pregnant after having already 11 kids.
You said 12 children. You guys. Yay! Yay! Mommy's pregnant! Mom, I knew it!
I don't know what I'm gonna have, but yes, I'm pregnant.
A lot of people feel like if these families are able to financially take care of all of these kids, then there shouldn't be a problem with having a big family. And when I mean a big family, I don't mean 5, 6, 7 kids. I mean reaching the double digits and surpassing that. And the thing is, even if you feel like it is perfectly fine, the reactions from eldest kids in these very large families show that that might not be the best choice to make. My biggest concern is the eldest siblings taking on a parental role for their younger siblings because of their parents having so many young ones and not being able to watch them all on their own. So the eldest kids have to step up and also help with watching and looking over the younger ones.
Are out there having baby after baby after baby. There are women that are doing the exact same thing.
Valid points. I have 3, aged 5, 4, and 2. The first 2 were my idea, and then the third one was not my idea, but I chose to keep him anyways. And I ran for the hills. Frankly, I am one of 7 children. My mother was abused by my father. He was significantly older than her, and he pumped her full of kids. She had baby after baby after baby, and she may have had choices, but I don't think she really felt like she had much of a choice. And so I think that should also be taken into consideration, is that some of these women that are on their backs having baby after baby after baby are also being abused.
Because a couple of days ago, I made a video addressing pregnancy addiction or breeding kink, whatever you want to call it, and stating how society normally is always villainizing the men that are out there fathering a lot of children. However, there are women that are doing the exact same thing, that they're out there having a whole bunch of children. And when I say a whole bunch of children, I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 even, okay? I also asked in that video, outside of the basic needs, and I'm talking about food, shelter, water, clothes, are every child's individual emotional needs being met? Because if you are one mother to 12 children or to 6 children, 7 children, 8 children, you have to address every single one of those children's individual needs and understand these children are also in different stages in their lives. Ask yourself, is the average parent or parents financially, mentally, emotionally, physically set with a community and a support system in order to give the child the upbringing, the environment that they need that is conducive for a healthy childhood, for a healthy upbringing?
Imagine loving the feeling of being pregnant so much that you say you'll keep having babies until your womb falls out, end quote. Sounds extreme, right? But that's exactly what one 37-year-old mother of four from the UK confessed, okay? She's not alone. You've seen the TikTok videos. Some women describe being pregnant as a rush they just can't give up. Today, we're diving into the question, can you actually be addicted to pregnancy? Why do some people keep chasing that baby bump high? And what are the consequences, if there are any? So let's talk about it in today's casual deep dive video. If you enjoy content like this, guys, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing, okay? Many women treasure the experience of pregnancy, but for some it becomes an obsession. Let's look into what is quote-unquote pregnancy addiction. Now, you won't find pregnancy addiction in a medical textbook, but mental health experts say the concept is very real. In basic terms, it's when pregnancy becomes an obsession, the center of a woman's life to the detriment of other priorities. Take the case of Tara Sawyer. She's a British mom who made the jaw-dropping till the womb falls out comment. Tara had 4 kids of her own, but she loved being pregnant so much that she now rents out her womb as a surrogate for free, just to experience pregnancy again and again. Now, this is an article I found online. It's dated, it's not very recent, but it's a good example for today's video. Tara has given birth 7 times, 3 of those for other couples, and says she feels, quote, at her best while pregnant. She describes a positive pregnancy test as a huge rush, end quote. In her own words, surrogacy is very addictive. It's a huge rush from the moment the test comes back positive. So whilst this is not a more recent article, it highlights what we're discussing in today's video. Because for Tara, carrying a baby, even one she doesn't plan to keep, is euphoric. She even says handing over a surrogate newborn doesn't bother her because, quote, I don't feel like I'm giving up a baby, I feel like I'm giving it back, end quote, to the parents. That's a strong sign that it was the pregnancy experience she craved more than adding another child to her own family, okay? Now, you saw the earlier TikTok clips, so you can make up your own minds, guys. I wanted to highlight stories like this that might sound unusual, but therapists have recognized this pattern for years. There's even a pop culture term for it, bumpaholic. A bumpaholic is someone who can't get enough of the baby bump and keeps getting pregnant for the emotional high. While it's not a formal medical diagnosis, the behavior resembles addiction in many ways. Beverly Hills psychiatrist Dr. Carol Lieberman explains that women, quote, obsessed with being pregnant are literally feeling the emptiness inside of them, just as alcoholics and drug addicts use substances to fill a psychological void, end quote. So, in other words, pregnancy becomes their drug of choice. It might sound odd, after all, having babies isn't chemically addictive like nicotine or opioids, but the psychological grip can be just as real. These women feel compelled to procreate, sometimes repeatedly, because of what pregnancy does for them emotionally and even physically. I started off this video with those TikTok clips, and I just want you to keep those in mind, as well as some of the other stories I'm going to cover as we go through the video. In this next section, let's talk about why would someone crave pregnancy? What makes pregnancy so alluring that someone could become, quote, addicted to it? It turns out there are several powerful draws, emotional, social, biological, and you could even say financial, with TikTok families or social media families, that can get people hooked on expecting life. Let's go over some of the big ones. The first one, filling an emotional void. Many pregnancy-obsessed women are trying to fill some emptiness or address insecurities in their lives. Psychiatrists, when I was researching this topic, note that having a baby can provide a sense of purpose and love that they feel is otherwise missing. A quote from an article said, every one of us wants to have a purpose in this world to feel less lonely, and this was by family therapist Dr. Bunny Ekerville, I hope. And for some, a baby offers that purpose. Dr. Keith Abloh, a Boston psychiatrist, observes that having another child can become a convenient, quote, substitute for deciding on a career path, making a marriage work, or even wrestling with questions of self-worth, end quote. So in other words, it's sometimes easier to get pregnant again than to face life's other challenges. One woman, identified as Liz, in an article I came across, admitted on national TV that the only time that I take care of myself or value myself is when I'm pregnant. End quote from this woman, Liz. So we gathered that pregnancy makes Liz feel important and needed, feelings she struggles apparently to find elsewhere. These emotional boosts can be a strong motivation to keep going back for another baby bump. The next factor we should cover is identity and feeling important. Pregnancy can offer a clear sense of identity. You're an expectant mother. You're doing arguably the most important job in the world for some people. Psychotherapist Bethany Marshall explains that a baby represents love in its purest form, unconditional form. End quote. So growing a child means being needed in a profound way. A baby needs its mother more than anyone else, Marshall says. So a pregnant woman automatically feels central and essential. For women who grew up feeling unloved or unimportant, repeatedly having babies can ensure, quote, they'll always be important, end quote. Okay? This drive to feel loved and indispensable can lead to back-to-back pregnancies. It's as if each new baby is proof that, quote, I matter, I'm loved and needed by someone. Now, I'm not saying this is the reason for the moms in the TikTok videos I showed, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. The third factor I want to talk about is craving attention and validation. Let's be honest, being pregnant often comes with a lot of positive attention. Friends, family, even strangers tend to shower pregnant women with care and compliments, usually. You're literally carrying the future, and people find that exciting. Many women relish this special attention. One mother of 6, Barb Pomeroy, admitted she reveled, quote, in all the questions, comments, and compliments she got during pregnancy. She felt, quote, there's this feeling of being special when you're pregnant, end quote. And she noticed that when she wasn't expecting, in the article she said, I become ordinary again. Another mom confessed that pregnancy made her feel beautiful and confident for the first time. She's quoted in the article as saying, my husband constantly rubbed and cuddled me and I ate it up. I'd never felt sexier. So all the doting, the baby showers, the how are you feeling, check-ins, the gifts and well wishes, and these are for the women where they experience that, can be intoxicating in its own way, okay? So for women like this, you're the star of the show for 9 months, with a glowing spotlight on you, both literally and figuratively. It's no wonder some women don't want that glow to fade. The term pregnancy glow isn't just about dewy skin, it's that warm feeling of being admired and cared for, which can be hard to let go of. The next is the hormonal high. Okay, this is the next factor we're going to consider, factor number 4. Pregnancy isn't just an emotional journey, it's a biological roller coaster. When you're expecting, your body releases a surge of hormones like oxytocin, the so-called cuddle hormone, that promotes bonding and floods the body during pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding. Oxytocin and other chemicals can induce calm, happy, even euphoric feelings. Came across Dr. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist, and it was noted that our brains are wired with reward systems to nudge us toward parenthood. Well, that's for most people. And Mother Nature, quote, prods us by making sex and its aftermath feel amazing. In fact, another expert described the pregnancy feeling as, quote, a love drug, a baby love drug. Okay? So this highlights that many women genuinely feel great while pregnant once the morning sickness passes anyway, for those who experience that. They might have improved mood, a sense of zen, or just a feeling of, this is what I was built for, some people are quoted as saying. There's also the simple joy of feeling the baby kick and knowing you're nurturing life. All these can be naturally addictive sensations. Some psychologists even point out that when women rub a pregnant woman's belly, something many of us can't resist, I definitely can, but apparently it's something some people can't resist, it triggers oxytocin and dopamine in the brain's reward areas for both the mom and the admirer. So there's literally a chemical reward loop in play, okay? Let's not forget, pregnancy often grants a sort of license to relax, okay? You're encouraged to eat well, rest, and others help with heavy lifting for the moms that have that experience. For some, it's the most self-care they've ever allowed themselves, and that feels good too, okay? So now we're going to move into the section titled, When Does Loving Pregnancy Become a Problem? We've seen why pregnancy can be so enticing, but what about the downsides, okay? And this is what I want to keep in mind in the TikTok videos I've shown you and these stories I'm telling you. Like any addiction and obsession with being pregnant can start to harm other parts of your life. For one, there's the toll on existing family. If a mother is so in love with having babies that she's constantly planning the next one, she might inadvertently neglect the children she already has. And this is something I wonder about with those TikTok videos I showed. Newborns demand a ton of attention, and chasing that new baby feeling repeatedly can leave all the kids feeling overlooked. There are only so many hours in the day and so much emotional energy to go around. Then there's the impact on marriages and relationships. In the earlier example I mentioned, Liz, the mom who admitted she can't stop having kids, nearly wrecked her marriage, okay? In the article, her husband described his life as a, quote, living hell because Liz was desperate to get pregnant again despite already having 6 kids, including stepkids, which was a strain on their finances, okay? In that case, Liz's husband felt she wouldn't listen to reason about not being able to afford more babies. Financial strain is a real concern. Raising children is expensive, okay? So I think an estimate is about 950 American dollars per month for childcare in the US, and I'm going to put on screen what it is in the UK. If you keep adding kids because you crave that baby high, you can quickly get in over your head financially and stress your partner out. Not every bumpaholic goes to such extremes, I will say, but it's easy to see how the family's well-being can suffer if pregnancy becomes the priority over everything else. Now, there are also physical and mental health risks. Multiple pregnancies back to back can be hard on the body. Your body needs time to recover between pregnancies. Constant baby making can also increase health complications for mother and child. And while pregnancy might temporarily boost mood, the calm down can be tough. After giving birth, those feel good hormones drop off sharply. And I've seen this happen with some of my friends who recently had kids. Many women experience the baby blues or even full postpartum depression once the baby is born. For someone addicted to being pregnant, that crash can be devastating. Their favorite state, being pregnant, is suddenly over. Psychologists have noted that some women quickly seek to get pregnant again as a way to avoid the emotional low that comes after birth. Essentially, they are chasing the next pregnancy to keep the happiness going, much like a drug user might crave the next fix when coming down. This can turn into an unhealthy cycle. And again, I'm not saying this is the case with the TikTok videos I've shown, I'm just positing. Another factor is life avoidance. If a woman is repeatedly pregnant, she might be using it as an excuse, consciously or unconsciously, to avoid other aspects of life. Being pregnant can become an identity and even an occupation in itself. It might mean she doesn't pursue a career, for example, because her full-time job is having babies. As one expert in an article put it, continually bearing another child can stand in for dealing with other personal challenges. Pregnancy can also be a socially acceptable reason to bow out of things. Quote, oh, I can't commit to that because I'm pregnant, or I need to rest, doctor's orders. It can become a convenient shield against outside pressures. But when the pregnancy is over and real life creeps back in, things like jobs, relationship, personal goals, it can feel empty or overwhelming. So the solution in an addict's mind is to get pregnant again. This cycle can stall personal growth, strain relationships with friends or families who might not understand why a woman keeps having more kids. The other thing to highlight is even the kids themselves can suffer in less obvious ways. And it can also be obvious if you think of those TikTok videos I've shown. If a mom is always focused on new baby on the way, older siblings might feel less secure. And as those kids grow, a mother fixated on babies might struggle when her children become independent. We sometimes hear about quote unquote empty nest syndrome, when parents feel sad or lost as their kids grow up and move out. For a pregnancy addict, empty nest fears might kick in early. She might preemptively try to avoid ever facing that loneliness by continually resetting the clock with a new infant. One article noted, having a lot of babies can be a way to avoid empty nest syndrome. You just keep a permanest, quote unquote. of young children so you never have to feel that loss. But of course, no one can stay fertile and raising babies forever. At some point, this strategy will collapse, okay? So, all the articles will be linked in the description below, guys, okay? We move on to breaking the cycle and finding fulfillment beyond babies as the next segment. So, what can someone do if they realize pregnancy has become an obsession for them? The first step, experts say, is some honest self reflection, and often professional help doesn't hurt either. Psychologists suggest asking yourself why you're yearning for another pregnancy. Is it because you truly want another child to raise and love for the long term? Or are you seeking that initial rush of excitement and purpose that comes with being pregnant? There's no judgment here. It's human to love feeling special, but distinguishing a genuine desire for a child from a desire for the experience of pregnancy is crucial. Counselors often work with so-called bumpaholics to address underlying issues. If insecurity or low self-worth is driving the behavior, therapy can help build a sense of identity that isn't tied to having babies. Remember Liz, who only valued herself when pregnant? That's something a therapist would definitely want to unpack, helping her find self-worth in other roles as a friend, a professional, an individual with hobbies, not just as a mom. I'm also going to include screenshots from a case I found on Reddit. So, if childhood trauma or a lack of love growing up is the root, a therapist can help heal that inner child so she or a mom doesn't feel compelled to recreate a family over and over to compensate. Okay? It's also important for moms to reinvest in their own lives outside of motherhood. Psychotherapist Bunny Vale, apologies, warns that women who focus on children to the exclusion of everything else inevitably face an emptiness. When those kids grow more independent, to avoid that, you have to nurture you as well. Dr. Anne Murphy advises finding something outside of child rearing that makes you proud. It could be a career, a creative passion, education, volunteering, anything that gives you a sense of accomplishment and identity beyond mom. And if you see in this Reddit story here, you can see this woman has this emptiness she describes, okay? When you have other fulfilling activities, the urge to have a baby just to feel important or busy might lessen because you're already filling your life with meaningful things. Maintaining a healthy social life and adult relationships is key too. Experts suggest spending quality time with your partner without the kids around. So go on date nights, take a weekend trip if possible, rekindle the romance or friendship that can get lost in diaper changings and midnight feedings. This not only strengthens your bond, but also reminds you that you're more than a parenting team, you're individuals who love each other. Strong relationships can provide a lot of the emotional warmth and validation that one might otherwise seek from a new baby. Similarly, making time for friends, hobbies, and self care like going to the gym, having a girls' night out, or just enjoying a quiet walk can recharge your batteries and reduce the feeling of, quote, I need to be pregnant to have purpose, which some of the other mothers have mentioned in articles I covered. In some cases, setting practical limits can help break the cycle. This might mean making a conscious decision with your partner about the number of children you have and then exploring longer term birth control options after reaching that number. Some women who adored being pregnant have still decided, okay, our family is complete at 2 or 3, etc., and found other ways to stay involved in the baby world, like becoming a doula, a midwife, a babysitter, or spending time with nieces, nephews, and grandchildren later on. These can provide an outlet for the nurturing instinct without continuously adding more kids to your own household. Finally, if you genuinely feel unable to stop the urge to get pregnant again and it's causing distress, don't be afraid to seek professional help. This could be a therapist who specializes in family or postpartum issues, or even a support group for moms. Now, in this Reddit thread, you can see that a lot of good advice was given to this mom. So, as the experts at One Recovery Center put it, it's important for women with this addiction to get help right away, to figure out why they feel the need to be pregnant so often, that they're avoiding their real life. There might be underlying depression or anxiety, which you can see was highlighted in some of the responses in this Reddit thread. And that's been masked by the excitement of pregnancy. And treating those issues can take away the compulsion to find solace in a constant stream of new babies. So let's conclude. I've shown you TikTok clips, shown you some highlights from Reddit. Can you be addicted to pregnancy? It might not be an addiction in the classic sense, but it's clear you can get hooked on the feeling of being pregnant, the purpose, the love, the attention, the hormonal bliss. For some women, it becomes the go-to source of happiness and identity, to the point that life without a baby bump feels empty. The stories from TikTok I've highlighted, the stories about Tara, Liz, and even extreme cases, if anyone remembers Octomom, who famously had 14 kids and admitted, I just longed for certain attachments with another person that I really lacked, end quote. These cases, these stories, these examples show that pregnancy obsession is real and can upend lives. The key takeaway in today's video is that if the idea of pregnancy has become more important than the reality of raising yet another child, it's probably time to pause and reflect. At the end of the day, being a parent is a beautiful thing, and I will always stand by that. But so is having a balanced life where your happiness isn't tied solely to any one role. Babies eventually grow up, and that's okay. If you find yourself or someone you know always saying just one more for the pregnancy high rather than a genuine need to expand the family, consider reaching out for support, whichever city, country you live in. You deserve to feel valued and fulfilled as you are, not just when expecting. Okay, guys, so that's today's video. Do give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Do consider subscribing, okay? So that's my take on being addicted to pregnancy. What do you guys think? Had you heard of this phenomenon, or do you know someone who just can't get enough of the baby bump experience? Let's talk about it in the comments. Share your thoughts or stories in the comments. I will always reply. I'm always happy to engage. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, I mean, it wasn't super deep, it was more casual. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as I've mentioned, for more honest conversations. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.